adventurers, this is Jerry from AdventurousJeriLynn. Today we're going to talk about a colonoscopy procedure. Now about 14 years ago when I was 40, because next month, well actually this month, it's December, oh my gosh. This month I turned 55. So at 40, I had my very first colonoscopy and it went really well. There was 0 polyps. Well, this year you fast forward 14 years and they found they found 1 polyp. The size of it was 2 millimeters. And I did that. It was non-cancerous. Thank you so much, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. It was non-cancerous, but if left in my colon, it had the potential to become cancer. So I know this is a tough subject. I know a lot of people are very skeptical, maybe not so much skeptical, but they're nervous about it. So I just want to tell you how I, between my first and my second, 14 years apart, both of them done at the same hospital. A week before your procedure, you need to stop having any popcorn, nuts, seeds, fresh fruits, and raw vegetables. So now every doctor is different. Now I put a little insert in here. This is according to, I have a doctor in Indiana, and the procedure was done in Indiana. So it may be different at different locations, but this is, I'm telling you about what happened with me. A week before the surgery, I also had to stop taking any vitamins, any medications, Motrin, Advil, ibuprofen, Aleve, naproxen, Excedrin. But you can take Tylenol if you have some pain. Okay. And I want to say, because this is my second time, the very first time when I did it at 40, I just ate normal up until the first week prior to the surgery. This time I did a little different because I remember having such gas pains because, the prep that you have to drink a lot. My stomach seemed to be, just cramping. I'm, probably just pressing down all the food out. This time I was smart. 14 years ago, difference. This time I made sure 2 weeks up to before, maybe even, 2 to 3 weeks before the colonoscopy, I made sure I was cutting back on food. I ate very, very light. Than I normally do. And I have to say, on this second time, I didn't have that painful cramping, like it just hurt, like, because there's gas, there's, I didn't have too much of that at all. Okay, so then 2 days before, you start on a clear liquid diet. So there's no Jello. Well, I take that back. You can have Jello, but it can't be red or purple, with no fruit pieces. Popsicles, no red or purple. Chicken broth, beef broth, apple juice, white grape juice, lemonade, Gatorade, Powerade, water, flavored water, coffee, no milk, no creamer. Tea, no milk, no creamer, no alcohol. Okay, those are the things that you can have 2 days before your procedure. Now, my mother-in-law told me that day, the 2 days prior, I'm like, well, I just went and got a big old container of chicken broth. But she mentioned that it make the stool come out oily or don't do it. So all I did was water and black tea, no sugar, and Gatorade. Water, Gatorade, and black tea. Okay, so now on the 2 days before, you're going to mix your prep. You're going to get a 32-ounce bottle of Gatorade, 32 ounces. And again, this is my doctor. And then you're going to pour half of this Miralax powder, which you're going to get, it is 238 grams of the bottle of Miralax. It's probably about this tall. So you're going to cut half of that. Now, I didn't know how to do that, so I just took a big gallon Ziploc bag and poured the whole 238 gram of Miralax powder in the bag. And then what I did was I shaked it, and then it was all even. So then with my hand, I just separated and poured in half that for the 2 days before and the other half for the day of. I just thought it was easier instead of trying to spoon out half of the container. You could do it how you want, but that's how I did it. Okay, so now it's the day of the procedure. So now you can't eat or drink, chew tobacco or smoke after midnight. But what you have to do on the day of the procedure, you're going to take the other half of on your second 32 ounce of Gatorade, you're going to take your second half of the Miralax and pour it into the, well, this is my tea, but you're going to pour it into your Gatorade. You're going to shake it up really good and let it just like dissolve. And you want to leave that at room temperature. I forgot to tell you that before. The first one, 2 days before, make sure your Gatorade is at room temperature. And then the second day, I put the remaining half of the Miralax into the Gatorade. And I probably let it settle for like an hour or so. And, I occasionally shook it up. So I made sure it was, when I drank it the first time 14 years ago, it was still kind of gritty. So this time, when you know better, you do better. I shook it up. I let it sit, every couple minutes as I was thinking about watching TV, I shook it, and just so it made sure it was dissolved so it wasn't gritty. And so after the second procedure of the Gatorade, you're drinking the second 32 ounce. 2 hours before, let's see, wait a minute. 2 hours before your procedure, you're not supposed to have anything. 2 to 3 hours. I'm a little weird, so I think I did like 3 hours. I take that back. 3 hours. 3 hours before the surgery. Mine was at 10:15. At 7:15, I cut off everything. I had to make sure that second drink was all complete. So now with my instructions, it says what brings on colon cancer is a lot of processed meat, like lunch meat, red meat, bacon, pork. Now again, this is what entails what is in my paperwork, that you want to avoid hot dogs and stuff like that, because over a long period of time, it has nitrates and all this other stuff that has in it that it's not good in your body. I have to tell you a story real quick. My father, years ago, before he passed, before he died, his doctor told him, he said, Jerry, I was named after my dad, Jerry. The doctor said, Jerry, you can't eat hot dogs every day or a couple times a week. And he was like, man, but they taste so good. It's so quick to make a deli sandwich. It's so quick to, boil some hot dogs or fry them in a cast iron skillet, so it makes it feel like it's, you're grilling. But my dad's doctor told him, if you're going to have lunch meat or if you're going to have hot dogs, at least once a month, that way it's not so bad. It's not so bad on your system. As you get older. When you're older, you can't eat like you used to. That's just the way it is. Like before, I could eat 3 or 4 candy bars a day when I was younger, but now I'm lucky if I can eat one. My body just can't take that. Same way with grease. I could love to sit down and eat a hamburger and fries, but I can't do that like I used to, not all the time. Everything is in moderation. So again, I know it's a tough topic. People don't want to talk about it, but it's very important. Get a colonoscopy procedure. Get it done. I was in and out very quick. The doctor, I take it back. The staff was real quick. They got Robert back there with me. Robert stayed in the room while I went back. They put an IV in. When they took me back to the room, pretty much everything went really, really quick. And the next thing you know, they wheel me into the OR, the operating room, the procedure room, whatever you want to call it. And I looked at the clock, and again, mine was scheduled at 10:15. I looked at the clock and it said it's 11:01, because they have to go through all your stuff. You have to get dressed and all this stuff. I had to pee a couple more times before I went in there. And so by the time they wheeled me in, I looked at the clock, and then the anesthesiologist, he says, Jerry, you're going to be out here in about 4 or 5 seconds. So he put it in my IV, and I don't even think I counted to 3, and I was out. Next thing you know, they're wheeling me back to Robert, and you can't do nothing the rest of the day. They don't want you to sign any important papers. They don't want you to drive. And another thing, you can't show up by yourself with a colonoscopy. You have to have a driver, or they'll just cancel the procedure altogether. So make sure you have a driver. Robert drove me home, but we stopped and got some food first because, again, 2 days without eating, boy, that was rough. But anyway, went home, fell asleep, pretty much in and out all day, either between eating and potty. And I was out. And the next day I was perfectly fine. And, you know, they ask you to rest, and the next day you're good as new. So don't be scared. I'm going to show pictures at the end. Now stay tuned of what the colonoscopy, the little 2 millimeter, it was one polyp that's 2 millimeter that they cut out. So everything's fine. So you guys just think about it. It's not as scary as you think it is. I love you, family. We'll see you out on the open road. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.